All right, well, great. Let's see, I guess we need to change the screen over.
Yep.
Perfect. So this will be Quail Photography 101. Little disclaimer here, I am not a photographer, okay? I don't even play one on TV. So, yeah, these are just some tips and hints and things that I have found that works for me. And people seem to like my pictures, so that's what I'm rolling with right here. Also, we're gonna have a little fun in the beginning. I'm gonna be kind of joking around and stuff like this. Do not take this personally. I'm not singling out anybody, so don't send me any hate mail. Okay. All right. So, reasons to take pictures of quail. There's a lot more than the ones on this list, but one of the big thing that we see in the groups, in the Facebook groups, or in the Coturnix Corner community website, is color ID. Everybody's wanting to know, what color is this? What pattern is this? Okay, so that would be a reason to take pictures of quail. Breeding. I take pictures of my quail and compare them to each other, and it allows me to sit and take my time and look over the bird from head to tail, and compare one bird to another without the bird, flapping its wings and being distracted by something. Marketing. You can use your pictures on websites, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. There is an online quail show coming up. Pips and Chicks virtual poultry show is coming up. So you might want to enter that. There's also this coming February, there's a show in Australia for our Australian listeners. There's a Facebook group dedicated to that you can join. And you might want to take pictures for art or your own personal enjoyment. So I'm going to kind of touch on some of those. And we're going to cover some do's and don'ts.
Okay, before you do that, Rebecca, I just want to say real quick, if you guys have any questions for Rebecca, go ahead and post them in the chat room, and make sure you type the letter Q by your question. That way we can find it, because I'm not reading all the questions tonight. So, and Rebecca's got something she's got going on, so go ahead and type the letter Q next to your question. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. All right, some quail photography do's and don'ts. All right, so this is it applies to most situations with quail photography, but I'm going to be mostly focusing on color and sex ID, marketing, and show photography. Okay. So I took a photography class when I was in college. It was wildlife photography. And one of the things that one of my instructors told me that has always stuck with me, I mean, like, I graduated a long time ago. He said, don't take pictures with a potato. Meaning, like, if you're going to take pictures, take them with a decent camera, and take them with something, a lens that is clean and in focus. Don't whip out, a broken phone that it has a scratched lens and try to take a picture. You see, this is it's hard to tell what's going on with this bird. So clean your lens and use a decent camera. So this is just an iPhone. Nothing special. I don't use any big camera or anything like that. I'm just using my iPhone. I do with my chickens sometimes break out a nice camera, mainly because I want a nice zoom lens so I can take pictures of them from across the chicken pen. Don't take pictures of your quail in a mosh pit and expect us to do a color ID. So we get this all the time in the quail groups. People will say, what color is that one that's 14th from the left? And we're like, is that a quail? I'm not really sure. What is that? Do take pictures of an individual quail. So again, if you're wanting us to ID your bird, color or pattern or sex or whatever, just show us one bird. Don't take pictures of your quail from across the yard and ask for an ID. So again, we have to be able to see your bird to ID it. So while this is a cool picture of my outdoor aviary, it's really hard to tell what that one little bird is with the arrow. Do take close, clear pictures, of your bird, nice and close so we can see what it is.
Are you changing pictures? Because I'm still seeing the same one.
Oh no. What is going on here? Let's go back here.
I'm seeing the black quail. Do take pictures.
Yep, I've been changing and I don't know what's going on. Let me stop sharing and reshare.
Okay.
Let's try this again. All right, so there we go. Now it's catching up.
There you go. Okay. Right there is where you left off.
There we go. That's where we left off. Okay, so here is the picture I mentioned from across the yard, my little aviary. So you can see that we can barely even make out that that's a bird. We want nice close pictures like this. So this would also be a good example of if you're doing photography for the quail show. This is a nice profile picture, and I'll go over that in more detail. Don't take pictures of a quail that look like it fell into a plucker. Okay. If you get on one of the groups and ask us what color and pattern that is, yeah, we can't tell you. Do take pictures of nicely feathered birds. Don't take pictures in the dark. So again, kind of hard to tell what that is, but we do get these pictures going, hey, what is this? And we're like, it might be a bird. So this is going to start a trend here. Do take pictures in bright shade. Okay, so bright shade is best. And what I mean by bright shade is, on a nice sunny day, find a spot that is shaded but not super dark shade, if that makes sense. Don't take pictures of your hand. So if you want us to ID your bird, we kind of have to see it. So do take pictures of a quail. Don't take pictures into the sun. So you can see that this bird is kind of silhouetted and it's really hard to tell what color or pattern it is. Do take pictures in bright shade. Don't take photos at sunrise or sunset. Sunrise and sunset gives you harsh lighting that adds an orangish tint to the bird. So you can see this is at sunset. And let me go back here. This is what that light looks like in bright shade. So big difference. Okay, so bright shade again. Don't take photos under a heat lamp. Just don't. Take them literally anywhere else. We can't tell anything. And this is the same bird. Don't take pictures with a messy background. Poop trays are not backdrops. So, especially if you're doing photography for your website or for the quail show, pay attention to what's in the background. You never know when there's poop trays or a kid picking their nose or something. Just pay attention. So instead, you want to use a simple, appealing background, preferably of a contrasting color. So you see how this the green grass and that little red leaf kind of make the black in this quail pop. So it's good to have something that makes your bird stand out. Don't take pictures of your bird in broken light. So you see here that part of this, cage is casting a shadow across the bird. If we're doing color and sex ID, it makes it a lot harder if the light isn't consistent. Do take pictures of your quail in bright shade. And don't take pictures of your quail indoors if possible. I know sometimes it's easier, or you're just grabbing birds out of a cage or whatever. But if you can, it's better to not take pictures of your birds inside. This is the same bird as many of the other pictures that you've seen, and you can see that it's hard to tell the exact color of it. And you guys got this by now. Take your pictures in bright shade. Okay, so disclaimer. Now, I keep telling everybody to take their pictures in bright shade, but understand that if you use bright shade, there's a real chance your bird may fly or run away. Ask me how I know. Yeah, and I do take a lot of my pictures. This right here that you see is a retaining wall, and it's nice because I can set the birds at eye level and be able to take pictures of them. And this is a lot of what I do. They go to run away, I pick them up, I turn them around, I put them back where I want them to be. They go to run away again, and after several attempts, they finally give up and let me take their picture. But there is a chance that if you're just setting your bird on a retaining wall, it may fly away. So be prepared to chase your bird. Now, Katia is much smarter than I am. She uses a cage, a floorless cage, to photograph her birds so they don't run away. So I thank you, Katia Galley, for providing us with some pictures for this presentation.
That's a good idea.
It's a fantastic idea. And she also uses a hat squished into a box with some nice little flowers and herbs from the garden to be able to take pictures of her quail as well. And that's a good way to secure the birds so they have a limited escapability and still make a cute little picture. So I love what she did there with the eggs and the herbs. That's an adorable chick there. So you can also use a container. So with that little silky chick, I used a little I don't even know what I found that cup in like Goodwill or something. And the other picture is of a button quail next to a Coturnix quail, and it's in a wooden bowl that I found. And the wood grain makes a really nice background for the photo, and also helps to keep the chicks contained. Okay. Limiting mobility also helps. So this, the picture on the left is that same retaining wall, and there's just like one rock that's jutted out. And for those quail that don't want to stand still on the top of the wall, if I make them stand on that little bitty piece of rock, there's not a whole lot of places they can go. They can still jump down and stuff, but they're thinking about, their precarious situation and not really about getting away. Also, my hand works sometimes. If I just prop them up on my hand, you can see that retaining wall in the background that I use. A lot of times they'll just sit there right in my hand while I take the picture. And if you need to, you can even kind of hold on to their feet with your thumb to help, again, with those flighty birds that want to try to get away. And you can also use your hand to, place in front of them or behind them or whichever way that they're trying to go to try to keep them from taking off, and just crop out your hand later, or, have your hand far enough away that it's not in the shot. So another helpful tip is to give them time to settle out of angry bird mode. You've all seen this, the fluff feathers, the panting, the swearing, could be both of you. But if you're going to take pictures of your birds, it's a lot better when they're calm and their feathers are nice and smooth versus the screaming angry bird here. You also want to take lots of pictures because if you take one or two, you're going to come back, you're going to look at your pictures and you're going to see that they're blurry, or like this one with its wing hanging out or blinking, or there's a giant pile of poop under your bird. Take lots of pictures, okay? Because you're going to delete a lot. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, how did you get that beautiful picture of your quail?" If you take 200 pictures, at least one of them will be good. All right. So, a big thing in any photography is to make sure the eye is in focus. Okay. And if you're using an iPhone, you can simply touch the screen, on the part that you want to focus on, and that'll help it focus. But in any photography, you want the eye to be in focus. And you can see with both of these birds, immediately your eye is drawn to their eyes. Okay. Another helpful tip is to take your pictures at the same level as the bird. All of these pictures that I've been showing you have been pretty much, straight on the bird's level. If you're taking them at an angle or from the top, from the top you might be looking at their back. But if you start taking them at weird angles, it's not as pretty, and not as easy to identify the bird. And I'm a little OCD. I will actually take my fingers and smooth out those feathers that are out of place. And if there's one that's just kind of sticking out in an odd angle, I have been known to kind of pluck those. So just one. But yeah, that can make a huge difference. First thing when I look at this bird, I'm drawn to that messiness. So you want to clean that up before take a bunch more pictures. And you can position the bird so that the bird on the left, well, they're both the same bird, but the picture on the left, that bird is all squatted down and its feet are spread apart, and it kind of looks like a potato. Um, and that doesn't lend for a good picture. In the second picture, I just kind of gently placed my hand under its chest and lifted up and kind of positioned it a little bit. I've even taken my finger under their chin and lifted their chin a little. You can smooth their feathers down. You can put their wings kind of in place. You can do a lot in positioning once your bird calms down. All right. So using a light box. Now this is where I'm definitely not a professional. Um, I have some tips and tricks, but I would love to know how to. I always have trouble with the white balance. There's always trouble with my background not wanting to be white. So if any of you, are schooled in using a light box, please, I would love to talk to you. All right. So, what is a light box? Light box is, as you can see in the picture, a box with some lights in it and reflective material. Lights up your subject. Pros is that your bird is contained, it's lit well, and you can take pictures no matter what time it is or what the weather is like. So, if I wanted to take pictures of my bird on that retaining wall, well, it's dark and kind of rainy and cold. Uh, Cons is that, like I said, the lighting can be difficult to work with. Uh, Maybe someday I'll figure out how to do that, or one of you nice people will send me a message and school me on that. The other thing is poop. You cannot believe how much a quail can poop, like every 5 seconds when you're working. So be prepared. Again, with the light, photos may need to be edited a little bit with the white balance. So the picture on the right is an unedited photo, and on the left is as close to possible, as close to realistic as possible. So whenever I edit, I try to keep things true, and I think that people online can tell when you go crazy with editing. And as I mentioned, poop happens. Have a paper towel handy. I like to have a dry one and a wet one. And I like to use surfaces that can be wiped clean or replaced. So in this picture, I'm using a sheet of wallpaper, It's like a single sheet of wallpaper that I got from Dollar Tree for $1. They come in all different designs, and I can, it's got a smooth surface. It's kind of slick that I can clean off pretty easy, and it makes for kind of a cute little background. So, using different surfaces can yield different results. And then, when you're using different surfaces, you can see that sometimes whatever that surface is can reflect some color back in on the subject. So, this is another piece of that wallpaper I was talking about. The next picture is yet another piece of wallpaper. The one on the right is a piece of silk I got cheap at a, I don't even remember. You'll see on this picture, the one with the blue silk, the blue is reflecting up on the bird. So it's kind of changing the color of the bird. And in the next picture, I'm using some moss, some Spanish moss. It's cute, but it also, you can see a little bit of green on the bottom of the bird as well. And again, here's some more pictures with different, silks that I'm using. I do like to use these with the chicks when I'm taking pictures of chicks. I don't like using the slick surfaces. I don't like to risk them getting splay legs. So I do like for excuse me, them to have something to stand on. All right, so here's some tips for quail photography for color, sex, and ID. Um, all of the previous rules that we talked about apply to this. So bright shade is still best. And if you're wanting us to ID the bird, be it color or sex, we need to see parts of it. So if you're holding the bird like this, there's not a whole lot for us to go with. So we need to be able to see the breast, the side of the head, and the back. So here are some examples. And on this bird, we can see the back of the bird, and that's going to help us with pattern ID. And in the picture on the right, we can see the side of the head, which will help us determine male or female based on coloration and chin strap, as well as the breast. And the same thing there, we're looking for coloration and certain patterns. And lighting makes a huge difference. Again, if you're using bright light, bright sunshine, you can see that's the same bird. That's bright sunshine versus bright shade. So big difference if you're asking us what color or pattern, or if it's a male or a female. Where you take your picture makes a huge difference. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the virtual poultry show. So that's coming up soon. Entries will be opening May 1st. And this was really fun. Last year was the first one. So I'm super glad that Bree is putting on another one. And so this format that you see here in this picture is how you need to be entering your photos. So you're going to have a profile picture, a picture of the breast, and a wingspread picture. Okay. So for the profile photo, it's going to be a side picture of this the side of the bird standing up naturally. You can't have any hands holding the birds into the pose. It's got to be standing naturally. It should be taken on the same level as the bird, just like we talked about before. And the judge needs to be able to see all the parts of the bird. So nails, toes, beak, eye, tail, head, everything needs to be in the photo. So here's a good example. The entire side of the bird is visible. The bird is bright and alert. Its eye is open. The nails are nice and short. It's not panting. It's not all fluffed up doing the angry bird thing. This would be a good picture to enter. The only thing, if you really wanted to be picky, would be that leg is sticking out a little bit. It would be better if this bird's legs were up under it, standing in a more upright posture. Okay, so the frontal photo. So this is a focusing on the front of the bird. They're going to be looking at the face and breast featherings. So the eyes, beak, feathers down to the breastbone should be visible. And with this one, you can hold the bird if necessary. So here's a good example of that. Again, the bird is bright and alert. The eyes are open. It's not panting. Feathers are nice and smooth. Nails are short, and the beak is at a proper length. Okay, and the wingspread photo. This, they're looking at the back and the wings. So you're going to want to have the wings fully spread, and each wingtip is going to need to be in the photo. The back should be easy to see, and the photo should be taken above the bird. So, and they do allow hands to hold the bird for this picture. So this is an example of hands holding the bird. Thank you, Tamara, for lending us this picture. So she's holding this bird in one hand, using one hand to spread the wings out and the other to hold the feet and the back out. So here's a couple more examples. You could use the ground, and that's easy. You know, if you don't have a helper, lay the bird on the ground and spread the wings out by hand, take the picture. Or there's my retaining wall again. So I've got the bird basically hanging upside down, and I use the wall to prop the wings open. All right, so some rules for the quail show. You want to use a simple background. Just one bird per photo. You don't want to, you know, take a picture of 3 birds when you're entering one. Make sure you have nice, clear, in focus pictures. Bright shade. No photoshopping or editing at all. And you can't have any identifying marks or other identification. Make sure this is not a rule, but trim their nails, you know, don't have dragon claws. Position the bird, make it look nice. Okay. And, you know, a nice little hint, if you really want your bird to look nice, and, you know, I know what a bird in a breeding cage can look like. But if you want to enter one of those birds, you may want to condition it before the show. Just like, you know, if you were entering a chicken show or some other poultry, have a special cage that bird is by itself, so it's not getting overmated or picked on by somebody else and stuff. Allow those feathers to get nice and smooth. All right, I'm going to cover some artsy stuff as well. So zooming in, this is where I'm going to derail from quail just a little bit because I thought these pictures were pretty. But zooming in can be nice and artsy and pretty. So I like to take nice close-ups of my birds. Even, you know, close pictures of their feathers can be really pretty. Zooming out. So this one, by, you know, expanding the field of view a little bit, zooming out, I was able to get some of the pretty flowers in this field. Head tilts are awesome. So anytime you can get a picture of a bird or any other subjects, of course, we know it's adorable in dogs. But anytime you can get a subject to tilt its head, that makes for a cute photo. So one of the things that I do, I own a dog boarding business. And when I'm taking pictures of people's dogs, I will squeak at them. So like that, or make funny little noises, clicking sounds, anything to kind of get them to cock their head and look at me cute, raise their ears. So with the chickens, you can try that as well. Same with the quail. Quail aren't really into cocking their head. But as you can see with this one, in the middle, you know, it's kind of got a little side eye going on, a little tilt, little, you know, head turn. That's cute as well. So another thing you can do is experiment with taking photographs straight on or at different angles. So The rooster in the first picture, that's not a typical picture you would see of a rooster. Normally you see the side of their face or whatever, but this one looks kind of funny with his big poofy cheeks. Just kind of an interesting look. The quail in here with that, most people don't take head-on shots of their quail, but this one is kind of cute with his little, side glance. And of course the baby chick, who could resist that? Props. So the cool thing with birds is they come with their own props. Eggs make great props. So if you're taking pictures of chicks, throw in some eggs. That always makes it adorable. Speaking of eggs, if you're taking pictures of eggs, you can use different things to try to make them pop as well. So here are a couple examples. I have like an old wreath that was made of burlap material, and I just took some quail eggs and stuck them on that. The wreath is hanging on an old wooden door, and it made for a nice photo. The other one is just some glass I picked up out of a creek and arranged on a chair. So this photo, the time of day with some shadows and stuff made it look a little extra cool. The other thing that I like when I'm doing some artsy stuff is curves. So these pictures speak to me. I just like the symmetry and the curves of these. I like I don't know. It's hard to really explain. Just the curve of the birds is pretty to me. And humor. So we've got my little angry bird here and my silly duck who always has a feather in his nostril. So, look for those things. Sometimes, a feather in your bird's nose is something, a picture that you might delete. But, given the right moment, that is, a very cute picture that could be used for different things. And one last thing I want to talk about is watermarks. Scammers are everywhere and they will steal your pictures. So it is very helpful to put a watermark on your photos to help prevent scamming. It also helps to build brand recognition. If every time you post a photo, it's got your logo, your farm logo or your name, whatever on it, people are going to start remembering that. They're going to start identifying your photos as yours. I know Katia out there, she can pick my pictures out anytime I post them. She doesn't even have to look to see who posts them because I kind of have a signature to my pictures. But using that watermark really helps, keep scammers away and build your brand recognition. When you do use a watermark, it's good to put the watermark over overlap part of the subject, so it's harder for them to crop it out. And special thanks to Terry for hosting tonight, Katia for lending us some pictures, Bree for the virtual show, and Tamara for her photo as well.